Hi, in this video we're going to look at some of the amazing classroom AI magic that you can do with Adobe. And we're going to start with Adobe Firefly. So here I am on Adobe Firefly. It's firefly.adobe.com. And as you can see, I'm signed in with my school account. And there is a text prompt here, and I can just click there to type in what I'd like to create. So how about an image of a knight traveling toward an ominous mountain. Several trees are on fire. That's good for now. I'll just click Generate, and Adobe Firefly now is going to create a few different examples of this image that I've asked for. And these images right now do not exist. Okay, now they've been created, they've been generated by Adobe. So we've got some interesting results here, and I could select the result that I like the best and choose this button, More Options, and then choose to download it to my computer. So that is one of the options. But if I'd like to make some adjustments to it, I have this panel here at the right that gives me a full suite of tools that I can use to alter this image to make it better and make it the way I want it to be. So let's look at those options. Here I can change the aspect ratio. I really need this image to be rectangular. So I'm going to change it to be widescreen. I could also change it to landscape, either one. I could say that I want the content type not to be a photo, but to be artwork. So I'm going to change it to artwork. I could change the visual intensity of the image. I want it to be pretty intense. If I browse down a ways, I can choose different effects to apply, and there's even some like little previews of what it might look like that you can see here. I might try digital art. Underneath that, you can select the color and tone. Maybe I want it to be warm tone. The lighting, maybe I'd like it to be harsh light, and composition, maybe wide angle. So those are all some interesting options. There's also advanced settings that you can use to have it exclude certain things from the image. So now that I've made these selections, if you look over here toward the bottom of the screen, here's my text prompt, and here we have the options that I've selected. I'll click Generate, and it's going to do this again. It's going to start over, basically, and create 4 different images for me to choose from. Okay, this is much more like what I was hoping for. In fact, all 4 of these would work great. But let's say this is my favorite, the first one. I could click here on Edit and choose Generate Similar. So this is like telling Adobe Firefly, this is kind of what I'm looking for, this type of image, this type of imagery. So I could click Generate Similar, and Adobe Firefly now explores this path a little more than the other 3. And I still get 4 different nice options to choose from. Let's say I like this one the best. I'll click here and download. There's a pop-up that I get. I can just click Continue, and it's going to download that to my computer. Okay, I'm going to click here to quickly jump back to the Adobe Firefly homepage. There are all of these other options that I can try, and there's some fantastic tools here. But for now, I'm just going to click here, and I'd like to do one more example. How about a river made of spaghetti passing through a field of lettuce? Let's see if this works. So I click Generate, and there are my results. I think I like this one the best, so I'll click Edit, Generate Similar, and then I want you to see one more option here in the panel. Notice that you can have a reference image gallery to access, so I could click here and choose one of these different art or photo styles, and then apply one of those styles to my images here. But in addition to just choosing from their gallery, you can also upload your own image that can be a reference. So I'm going to select that same knight traveling toward the mountain. I'll click Continue, and that's going to be the reference image for this spaghetti river image. So I'll click Generate again here toward the bottom, and let's see the results that we get. So look at those results. Adobe took my idea of the spaghetti river and applied the look and feel of this image to my original idea. Now, it didn't do it perfectly, but that's okay. But I could still select this image and say that's more like what I was asking for. So generate some similar, and I can get more options. So there are many AI tools out there that will allow you to generate your own images. But Adobe Firefly, in my opinion, is one of the very best, mainly because of the fantastic options that we have here at the right in this panel to help us customize and kind of massage the AI image to make it the way we want it to be. I also want you to know that Adobe, unlike many of its competitors, uses their own pre-licensed photos as the basis for these AI-generated photos. What that means is Adobe has already secured the rights to the images that these images are based on. And so there is not going to be any sort of legal issue with you creating these images and then using them, or your students creating them and using them. The original artists that this work is based on have already been paid and their materials have been licensed so that you and Adobe can use their artwork as the basis of your own artwork. Okay, next I want to show you some AI magic with Adobe Photoshop. So I've opened up Adobe Photoshop. I've got a pop-up here. I'm just going to close that. And to begin using Adobe Photoshop and its AI tools, the good news is you don't have to have a lot of prior experience with Photoshop. I'm just going to go here to the Open button in the upper left, and I'm just going to select an image from my computer. I'll just double click on it to open it up in Photoshop. So here's the image, and this is a beautiful image, but I wish I had captured a little bit more of the sky in this image, and also maybe a little to the left, a little to the right, but it's too late. I can't retake this photo. But with Adobe Photoshop, I can actually make those changes. What I need to do is crop the image. Usually we think of crop as a way to cut out material, but you can also use crop to add material now into your photos. So to do this, you need to use these little handles, and you may not always see them. So what you can do is just tap the C key on your keyboard, and that will make these little handles appear. And then you can just click and drag up to, I guess, crop, but it's really expand this image, maybe a little to the right. Maybe I want to go quite a bit to the left, and I've already dragged it up as well. Notice this little pop-up down here. It's got a prompt, but you can also just ignore the prompt and click Generate. And Adobe Photoshop now is going to try to fill in additional information that goes with this photo just by using artificial intelligence. Let's see how it does. Okay, so Photoshop has added some additional information. It's just created, using artificial intelligence, more of the Grand Canyon, this stone tower here, and over here as well. I think it's done a beautiful job. And the sky, it's added to the sky. In many ways, it's enhanced this photo. We can also use AI in Photoshop to add and sometimes subtract things from a photo. So let's try that. I'm going to try a hard one first. I'm going to click here on this lasso tool, and then I'm going to click and drag to select my daughter's backpack. Let's say I wish that she didn't have that backpack on. I've selected it, and I'm going to go here where it says Generative Fill, and I'm just going to put Remove the Backpack. I click Generate, and let's see how this goes. It often takes a few seconds for the AI to work, but let's look at the results. It didn't do a perfect job, but the backpack is basically gone. We can also use Generative Fill to add content to an image. So let's say I wish that we had captured a California condor in this photo. I could just click and drag a little oval or rectangle around a part of my image, and then click Generative Fill, and I'm going to type in California condor. I'll click Generate, and Photoshop is working to add a California condor into this image. It gave me 3 different options to choose from. I actually love option 1. I think that's perfect. But if I click here, I can get a second option or a third option. I'm going to stick with option 1. So I'll click away. With these changes to my image, let's say I'm super happy with it. I'm ready to be done with the image. I can just go up here to File, and I can export. I can do a quick export as a PNG. That's often the very best option. You just click that, decide where to save it, and it's saved. There's my finished image. Looks beautiful. If you want even more options, you can click File, Export, and then Export As, and then you get all of these different options to choose from. All right, for our final AI magic that we're going to look at, we're going to go to Adobe Express. And there are several Adobe Express artificial intelligence tools. Let's look at some of the most exciting and some of the newer options. So the first is something called Adobe Animate from Audio. And you can get to it a couple of different ways. One of the best is just to go here where it says Video, and then look for this image here, Animate from Audio. So I'll select it, and it's going to take me to a screen in which I can choose a character to animate. How about this scientist here? Next, I can choose the background that I would like. Maybe this park. Next, I'm going to use AI to enhance my speech. When you turn this on and record, it will use AI to remove background sounds, like fans that are running or clicking sounds or whatever it might be. It will do its best to remove them. Now I'll just click record. I get a countdown. Hi students, we're going to start a new unit next week. I hope you're excited to learn all about the different biomes and things related to that. I press done, and Adobe Animate from Audio is now compiling my voice and using artificial intelligence to automatically animate this character based on my tone of voice, the length of what I've recorded, how much enthusiasm I put into my recording. All of that is going to be used and created using artificial intelligence to make an animation. And my voice is included with that animation. Okay, it's finished creating that animation. There are many more things you can do with this, including opening it in Adobe Express and then adding text and all sorts of things. You can do some basic edits. But for now, I'm just going to download this to my computer, and then I'm going to X out of this animation. If I go to my downloads, I can open it up and you can see the quality of this animation. Hi students, we're going to start a new unit next week. I hope you're excited to learn all about the different biomes and things related to that. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think it turned out well. But I've gone back to the Adobe Express homepage because I want you to see that there's even more artificial intelligence that I can use with this animation. For example, I can click on this plus sign in the upper left and go to Quick Actions, and notice that there's an option now to caption a video. So I select caption video and I just select what language is spoken in the video. It's English. I'll click here to browse my computer for the animation that I've just created. There it is. So I'll select it, and it's uploading that same video that I created, but it's uploading it back into Adobe Express, and it's going to caption it with English closed captions. It's amazing. Okay, it's finished. So now when I click play, hi students, we're going to start a new unit next week. I hope you're excited to learn all about the different biomes and things related to that. Okay, so it did a great job, but you may have noticed, hi students, but you may have noticed that the very first word is the only mistake in this closed caption. It says I students instead of hi students. Hi students. So the good news is I can fix that one error. I put the playhead here where the mistake is, and notice up here at the top it says edit caption text. So I'm going to change that from I students to hi students. I can also customize the text, how I want it to look, and if I open this video in Adobe Express Editor, I can actually make all sorts of changes. For example, I can move my captions to another part of the screen. Let's look at that. I'll click Open in Editor, and here it is. If I move the playhead, you'll see my captioning showing up. I can then click on the closed captions, and then I'll just click and drag to move them where I want them to be. So you have a lot of flexibility. One more artificial intelligence tool that you need to know about that relates to creating these animations in Adobe Express. There recently was added a wonderful translate tool. So if I click there on translate, I can say I want to translate this animation that I've created from English to, how about Spanish? Let's say I have several students that right now only speak Spanish. They're learning English, but they speak Spanish right now primarily. I could create a Spanish translation, but that's not all. Let's say I need a Chinese translation and a Ukrainian translation. I can click Duplicate and Translate, and Adobe Express will create duplicates of my animation in those additional languages and with closed captioning. You can see that here. When you're ready to share these with your students, you can click Share and publish what you've created to the web so that it's public and people can see it. You could also simply download to your computer. You could download all pages at once, which is kind of difficult for Adobe Express. It can be very time consuming and you might have it fail now and then. So you may instead want to select the specific translation or animation that you'd like to download and download it just the selected page one at a time. So I'll click Download, and it's going to start downloading this to my computer. Okay, it's finished downloading it, and I can press play. Hi students, we're going to start a new unit next week. I hope you're excited to learn all about the different biomes. So this is an amazing tool, Adobe Animate with Audio, that utilizes artificial intelligence in a couple of different ways, and then you can use the captioning tool to take it even further. Also in Adobe Express, if you go back to the home page, you'll have an option for text to image. You can click here, and this is kind of a scaled down version of Adobe Firefly. So let's say I want an image of a cat swimming in a lake, which seems fairly unrealistic, but I'll click Generate, and Express is creating that image for me. There it is. I can choose some alternative images if I would like, and I have just a few of the tools that are also in Adobe Firefly. When I get the one I want, I can click Download, and also back in Adobe Express, Express, that image now is added to my library of stuff. There it is. Clicking back here on Adobe Express, I go to the home page. I want you to see one other artificial intelligence tool in Adobe Express. There's others that we're not going to get to, but look at this option, text to template. If I click here, I can specify something that I would like to create. Let's say a poster for the new chess club advertising a kickoff meeting for April 12th, let's say. I'll click generate, and Adobe Express is going to try to just create this poster for me. Express gives me 4 different options created through artificial intelligence. I could click here to generate more results, but if there's one that I particularly like, I can click on it. It opens up in Adobe Express, and then I can use the Express editor to customize the text. I could even change out the images if I want to. I could click here at the left to add additional text, like the time that this meeting begins. I could add more media here. When I'm done customizing this poster, I can click to share it digitally, or I could download it to my computer. So in this video, we've looked at 3 of the most useful, I think, and exciting options and exciting examples of artificial intelligence in Adobe products. Adobe Firefly for creating imagery, Adobe Photoshop for adding or subtracting to images that you already have, and Adobe Express for creating animations, character animations, AI closed captioning, text to image, and text to template. So I hope you'll enjoy checking out and using these artificial intelligence Adobe tools.